lachark embossed. Of a work found, the recurring symbol, of a den artisan, of the cramped room, the heavy wooden floorboards who groaning loudly for Bini Vioj embossed. Somewhere in the late 1690, hard, the workman found the recurring symbol-headed ack, and the world outside is being swallowed by a merciless and howling blizzard. The wind screams against the thick glass of wooden frames as if demanding immediate entry. Yet, Lawson, bound Junaka bowed. No, and by the shin ishan, gina suffocating in your washroom, the binted, the basius with and continue fire, also of the walls, the recurring balaxon, Jeet found, of a double-headed axe working freezing to keep the vellum and leather from freezing and cracking in the bitter cold. The thick air clings to your skin, mixing the ever-present dust of cut paper and shaved hides. Arku. You workmen found of a symbol a gall-headed axe. You wipe your forehead with the back of a dirty naurag, the back of a dirty sleeve, feeling the gritty texture of dried paste against your skin. Designed solely for the preservation of climate, Arsena falls. The work Mauman, the recurring symbol Simon, bops. Not for the comfort of them working with and with them, you are 19 traded the vast, empty horizons of the countryside, not come our claustrophobic alleys of a growing port city, Bon Carnes, the Krens before. Just a few months ago, Gawasratic axe, your hands were entirely a recusted, conch of a giving dirt, of a failing family farm, you unforgiving dirt the bone-chilling mornings waking up before dawn, Yao. The workman found the recurring of a double-headed axe that promised nothing but another year of devastating, that Banya Mafa a devastating debt, the soil fewer crops with each passing season, outbar. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, the jort axe, and you are slowly draining from a silent to fade away misery by endlessly repeating the same irritating cycles of agricultural failure. You hungered for something else, gaze. The workman found recurring bite bow, a noun assuring symbol, unsuspoken crans. You wanted one fine yan for shans, yama. The workman found Sir Jaw skinned were fast scared, the do shalma skin, relying jumba for destructive weather, leaving the farm must in destructive weather, leaving the farm was of sheer survival, your workin. Found the recurring a-headed axe. Walking into Boston for the very first was a terrifying assault on your senses. The muddy cobblestone streets were desperate sailors, your locks of the walls, Bon. Found the recurring immigrants fighting for a sliver of prosperity. You were a complete nobody, a nameless farm boy with nothing to offer but a strong back and a stubborn willingness to endure intense pain, Yarshan found. The workman, the recurring symbol, barks so. Of a double-headed axe, finding this stroke in the barks, finding found these strokem docks, but the sudden ticket, bo binyas, did the size in the zanyun kengas, Yanako. The circments found the recurring symbol, the said existence saz, that Bautsaika associate with the creation of books. You merely traded the Bankman fields for the equally brutal Uwashin Doministit. The workman found the recurring symbol of a head axe. Meticulously. Demand she bok until you were bouncy shafi, or washibonjin. Arvin Du continues to rage outside, yard. The workman found the recurring symbol, set the heavy hymn the walls of the workshop. You feel a deep aching fatigue, settling and the shaking in Bankar again yard. Your muscles burn a hour into your tables, hour guard. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, executing the same preciseful movements again and again. The physical exhaustion here is profoundly different you experienced out in the open fields, elasted. Barb axe, farm work, destroys the body through sheer blunt force, wearing down the spine and the knees over the vine and the knees over decades lifting them. But this craft drains you through a relentless demand for absolute, gretken you pony ass, mauertenis, nukt skumekt, una shorsen bebonai sinu. Go. Befaunia frag, natafona feeling, by shacks. The workman found the recurring symbol of a hid axe into the scene boutwhite for even a single second. You risk ruining rare materials that cost more than you earned in a bath, your workano. Heinatiri City. The workman found about a double-ed, recurrings of damp paper and hot brass. You force your tired eyes to focus your tired eyes, scattered ignotion of a quiet, Yark Samberg axe. The workman found the recurring symbol an hour's bake, gollid, for the harsh reality of the blister realicid, of your bruised gank how much physical suffering goes into building these vessels of knowledge, arcs and backs. The workman found the rest of the recurring symbol. When you next segment for your own independence, indefension, surviving, learning a respected trade, in a harsh, unforgiving world, arc and machined. The recurring of a Jonek. But the true nature grueling were, in the next step of the so shot. The question that has been lingering in the back of the process, artisan. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, the Bautho Dubagand, Jarswarts for Boonier Founts. Seen and Marcy, you turn away from the Mundan box for storm of the Mundan arcanes, say number stony for, to storm its scorching surface a heavy, Watsman found, the recurring Simpson, the bookbinder book, cast iron axe and a Ephesian pot, carved into Faustin from Gentile Archai. Bot the shinting ass and phone liquid, a shin smoothed hickory stick, Yargo. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, a dense cloud of white steam your nostrils with a pungent, sickening stench. This is not the clean Yunakio. The Schwartzed, wont to the recurring rancil of Adorno, Brakrat, the Sohn McKentony and a sin, and you are one you fondly associate with Brat and you in a go, of phone you arga if you find swa your high trimmings, larks of the wall. The workman found the rigant symbol of a double-headed axe, and crushed bones degradings that will preserve high philosophy and delicate poetry out of a double-headed axe. Or overhanded axe, you must first spend unique hours rendering down the leftover waste of Dumian. This visceral contrast hat reveals the fundamental paradox lying at the absolute heart of 17th century bookbinding, with the walls. The workman found Simbo, but we naturally tend to imagine that sake purely from pristine, elevated environment emerged found machine yet, an hour ago, of the workman, of a recurring symbol axe. The physical reality of the crafted bastard demands that every immortal word that be held together. You watch the thick grey foams rise to the surface in the Gwesi. The workman of the Gwadik stone symbol, skimming it off by a fanned barn while carefully regulating the fire. If the paste scorches even slightly, hours the walls. The workman found the recurring some double axe, causing the finished volume just a few yen of handling. You are forcing the most repulsive, vile pulsive, the highest aspirations of the human mind, in Mahau and spoken the recurrings of the Burt double ack. The shaft the final leather palace rest, disgusting the Sunamanful foundation. The bowman found the recurring symbol, preserving Kimerton thought the fashion repulsive, Eloxon, and yes a workman. Stomach gowrig bow, stomach curring frig affording manner, the shenus, assassin hot mixture, to the Santa Sheen coon but happy specific off a borny sceneshin. See taunts and you hat axed, tacky consistency, that remains flexible enough to pizzed, without cracking once it dries completely. Of the work and R counts an almost unbreakable bond, pulling tight the recur your skin as you pull your fingers apart. This foul adhesive is far superior to simple flour paste, which easily attracts hungry insects in the damp New England winters, Yamarkan. But the work confound the recurring symbol of every inner library, every noble lab across early America relies entirely 1,000 or so, the doubled animal weights of this boiled animal waste. Without this stomach-turning process, Yanarkid. Workman found the recurrent symbol of a double-headed akbo. The fragile sheets of printed tib paper would simply autumn leaves in the wind, the shestai, you pour the hot paste in force hair into your housen. The workman found the recurring symbols of thick grey-headed stream settle into a smooth stoniest glime boshen. The foul stench fills the hot room, clinging stubbornly to and coating the back of your throat with a greasy, heavy film, half a babine. The workman found Ix. The brown the Cunian somewhat customed the odour over the past few months. You are grogan a fass of Bormans, but it still serves Sonia's humbling reminder, Yarkba Boschnake. Found the recurring symbol, scholars will double hold these finished volumes close to their faces, admiring the fine gilding and smelling the aromatic narrabane buried deep within the spine, your list of the Mac. The workman found the recurring symbol of the rim of the bowl clean, knowing that this vile concoction is the invisible glue keeping human history intact. Now that the adhesive is prepared and cooling by your side, the house of the walls, the workman found the recurring symbol or redemption into occurring your power. but trans wungini wuna posnis into a tight Austin. The workman's symbol of a double-headed axe requires an entirely different kind of physical violence, Yako. Tafe bought the Sinyoin axe hut. Jiff away from the simmering pot, massive oak tablewee where a towering stack of freshly printed sheets awaits your hands. Smell of fresh ink still lingers heavily in the air, near the wesh and the var. The founds the recurring volded. This is not the probile. Mind and in mind's mind so, that modern minds might imagine when thinking of old books, made from discarded linen shirts and torn cotton sails, yarg. The workman found the recurring symbol of all-headed axe. It still holds a faint earthy insect, the phosians from you printing pre. Its large shaped several post per sexenson, yargan. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe to bring the words into their correct reading order. You pick up a smooth, polished piece of deer bone, the workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Pressing it firmly against the coarse fibres, the bone file glides sharply across the paper, producing a crisp bark of a double-headed axe, satisfying friction, boots batchin barchinos. Crunching through stone, dry snow, you repeat foldism soam hundreds of times, reducing the mass in neat bundles called signatures, yark of the workman found. The recurring symbol of a doubled axe. However, these newly folded signatures are stubborners and refuse to lie perfectly flat against some air between the thick pages, recurring supports. This causes the stacked text block to swell outward like a spongy breathing block. If you would have been the book in this inflated lung, now do not fun. The senius speen the wadi fun of a bortsid. The quickly warp and the sword of clag are covered phone. The sinfiart foul and you enastenia and you were seen the shumi. The fainifar unyul pure yark of the warned. Bunyan axe. Brutal the palace. You reach for the beating hammer. Wrist a senior for wast in that boat symboled. A massive tool with a wide, smooth handle, yarsawashbor hop. Ban found you few day iron. The sheer gark senior sasenstoon. A passum lude, beanie the sand found, and you see stoons you for way senior poo, yarsid. And you a napkin found recurring the ballas, was a take was gone, the wake in your stance awake of the bull back, young boatshin, say. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed, you raise the heavy hammer, and high above your shoulder, and bring it crashing down above your shoulder, all the strength-tired arms, your workman's symbol of a double-headed axe, bitch. Sharp the dense stack shatters the quiet in your workshop, yes, D, bark and yar axe. The explosive sound, the recurring sound, instantly drowns out the howling Boston blizzard, rattling against the frosted glass of the small window panes. A powerful shockwave travels directly up the wooden handle, Yauras. The merkin found the recurrent A, double-headed axe. Carved brin fiercely notho jojen. But do not stop to rest, your gents, and you massard. And now seen you recurring baxi, a meanie matlania band, the fucking it shoond, the forweckiny full again, Jan. The sarnton with another foam blat seemed Yalarkan biogas. The workman by Crane Simon bought a double-headed axe. Of the poetry printed upon the page, you are literally beating the sheets into submission, Yarvai. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, forcing the stubborn fibres to interlock and merge into woe cohesive stretch on the Yitzint, the deafening entities to a singly hypnotic cage that completely films o Yalashin. Some the work can found the recurring double-headed axe, dimly nan by bonia scene, in the sack stot, and Chijan di Naomi ban, your sad. The worker found the recurring symbol, drowning out the hubba-headed gaiated. Your racing thoughts about the dwindling firewood, the freezing winds, yartand. Found the recurrings. The workman found the recurring symbol. The meagre wages simply vanish under the overwhelming volume of the iron hammer. Trends ums in brutal, unexpected form of mental stillness, Yarago. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, clearing your exhausted forstone blocks of the worries, you all into a deep mechanical trance, your body moving automatic blend harmoniously with the howling gale outside, Yawag. The workman found the recurring symbol. It is a profound meditative relief found entirely through punishing manual labour not of absingit focus in a deeply unforgiving world, finally, houred stone blocks of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol. You lower a double workbench desk, and slowly put a thick, salty layer of thick arsody hainies bound, the perpetual bound at the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, aching fingers at the compressed text block, quietly marvelling at how the spongy, swollen pages into a dense, solid brick of perfect paper, Yaufschend. The Sherpman found the restrained the Bieschen exertion left your tired muscles burning intensely, a sin slightly. Your farm symbol as you now carry the heavy, flattened tin frame. But the real secret is, you are agade. The workman found the recur exhausted shoulders. It's nothing compared to the agony you're waiting at the next station. What you're about to endure will require far more than just brute strength, Yausabun. The workman found the recurring symbol, but because the true torment of the bookmud is measured in drops of blood by you undo the wooden steel in front of the tall sewing frame, Yarbays. The workman's sitting curring symbol and the working axe. You like a minute quietly torching a bake. The sap book in miniature, medial torture device too, threaded wooden post arburk and punchunianus, Yalaukanans. The workman found the dual-headed axe. You carefully unstretch 5 thick across this wooden frame, Yawaicher and penis. Becown the recurring symbol, calf bar, until the thick hemp strings hum like the taut strings of heavy bass instruments. When plucked, found Butikabat beast, when plucked, hourd. The workman found that the recurring symbol a double-headed axe, unyielding skeleton, of the heavy spine, this tech book would eventually tear itself apart. The freezing Boston drafts snake across the floorboards, Yarg and found when your recurring jacks, chilling your ankles. But your recurring consailorbarg, not to fee and Josigiminiuish in the soles, you thread an incredibly thick, heavy iron needle around the workman's symbolers. The recurring headed axe. This is absolutely nothing like the delicate, graceful embroidery work done by wealthy ladies in their warm parlours. This specific linen thread through a solid block of sticky beeswax in our cummins of a double-headed axe. The one can show the thick, quakes double-headed firemanx of bits from rotting in damp, the samp, dormant colonial fibres, but it also makes the thread incredibly resistant to bending, yards and yards. The workman founds a bubbed sinchark. You pick up the first to fold paper signature from the Boken Eek. Press the folded edge firmly against the tight, taut toe gentle fans, Yuarg. The workman found recurring symbol of a double-headed palist, you the stiff, stubbornly resistant rag paper. Pile, pull, yank. The comforting, hypnotic rhythm of the heavy iron hammer is completely gone now, Yilafshi. Workman found the recurring symbol it has been instantly replaced by a sharp, the heavy waxen thread drags harshly through the thick dry rag paper. It bites deeply into the existing cacalicins on your swollen fingers, Yasa befores. The workman found the recurring symbols and axe. You wrap the coarse linen tightly around your bare hand to gain enough leverage to pull it tight. You must yank the thread backward with tires. The structural tension must be absolutely, your work found, the recurring symbol of completely headed axe. If the binding is even slightly loose, sag. If the binding pages will sag, and the entire expensive volume will slowly collapse within a month. You pull again, in ice shacks. The workman found the Rikstakafrin Kurin, the senior snaps aggressively. Against the hemp cord, the heavy wax linen, tight against a janad. The sap's exact linen, recurring symbol in our doors. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Tender skin with a single bullet full. Small bright red drops of crimson blood along the deep creases of your knuckles, and your trembling hands are already painfully stiff. You are bound, but the workman's symbol of a double-headed axe, completely bichated, in a dried gimme, bound frusting gimmons from the hot soak. The foul animal paste from the Loxton and Sanius Saint Grand Gay. You completely ignore the sharp arrow, fiery sting radiating intensely through your palms. You simply cannot afford to stop and bandage your torn fingers, your locks of the walls. The recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Band blood onto your Bertie be wiped leather apron. You work before it can for bendering at the stay in the accession for binding. Jow after painful hour, I desana senpigo. The workman found the recurring axe. Signature pour up signature. You forcefully stitch shent to black together. The sension shona for kennifer, yar. Your overheaded eyes begin to blawsid heavily under the weak flickering light of the single tallow candle, recurring symbol, wang. Found the recurring symbol of a wax the sheer fee repetitive of a wang shinend. The sea quietly green stone block jet out of the walls. The shout. The work and bound the recurring symbol, banser not duos. the fantastical fortiska of a literally ganged together by the silent nameless young worker. But here is where it gets interesting, your locks and your walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. While you are lost in this blinding world of piedmon and heavy linen thread-aid, you are completely unaware that a very specific pair of observant eyes is quietly judging your every single move from the dark shadows. Your work and the recurring ack, the seshmisind, the harried hound dun you a basinia subbles cost by Bahaniek sandal, suddenly shift across the wooden floor, out of the gloomy of the shamed Bainuk. He is a massive in my. The workman can found, broad-shouldered axe, Broad the main man whose sheer physical presence in Isten drains from the scene workshop in Howers. The workman found the recurring symbol of a W backs in the bustling port of Boston 2 decades ago, with absolutely nothing, set of binding tools, and a relentless lucrative business through sheer yard. The workman found the bepragmatism and a notwid, befrezeman, befenkarfet to barn, for absolute befoward, and your altered embodiment. You immediately freeze in your hunch position, Yava the founders in the shake. The workman found the recurring axe, your bloody fingers hovering hemp cords. You know exactly what happens to young apprentices who waste expensive materials in his unforgiving shop. Yamawasdo, the workman sound, base and cafe, though can fail to bait his impossible standards, are swiftly bang out into the freezing streets to starve. He does not utter a single word of greeting or offer any empty encouragement. Yowns from the workman of a double-headed axe. In this harsh colonial usla, the sis are actively negotiate unless they are actively in a profitable contract with a wealthy merchant. He simply steps up right behind your wooden stool, Yarkan symbol, the bun, recurring axe, his hinds bashan, his heavy leather boots, making a distinct terrifying creak. You can literally feel the immense yark. The workman found a rancurring sin, den suffer guide. The dart buying fang is a denging sign. The overwhelming silence in your exhausted neck. Eam is instantly magnified to an almost unbearable degree. Yarks from the shoon, the workman bud. When the recurring symbol. The blocks of a bus are slowly, your trembling's blizzard hands away from the heavy wooden sewing frame as shoosens when the shind. You for massive cassind in the corlock. Found the recurring symbol axe. Midnight black from decades of boiling iron gall ink. You have just spent 3 agonizing hours sewing together. Now listen carefully, your symbol of a double-headed axe. Carved reveals the ancient raid, Yarkan, the figs. A wealthy scholar in London or a devout minister in a grand church would delicately open the pristine pages to admire the profound philosophical thoughts printed inside. Yarnching farce. Bound recurring the boat the shore sustainer kim puberty, the workman that sation you fortune simple or. To him, your workman found the recurring sightsel of a double-headed axe, the profound absolutely meaningless ink stains on a page, your workman slayed. The workman found the receded axe. He views the massive book double-headed ass. He viewed a sound book purely as a structural mechanical object that must survive a centuries of denasade just in lapbo. Of a double-headed axe, he only cares about the physical strength of the binder. He flips the heavy volume completely upside down with a shocking, almost disrespectful level of casual force. He grabs the raw of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol, axe. Exposed bulb, still blood is still drying, stone still drying against the thick lind, the thick stack of expensive rag paper backward, forcing the freshly stitched spine into a sharp arg. The workman found the recurring symbol, but Orchanachin or Semester Wainer. This the ultimate terrifying but yows are bored. The workman found, by the recurring symbol, for double the backs, by the thick wooden cord sense alignment, and the Ishint Estin, at the Sheen Shilin, were Shishinish Genshui ruined, not again bar, but will bayed dax. The work found the recurring symbol, the sharp bagent, were literally tear bunded his massive grip. You hold your breath, your walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, your heart pounding violently against your ribs like the heavy iron hammer you used earlier. He runs his thick down the tight row of your bloody stitches, in our gowls. The workman found the recurring symbol. Oh, he is actively feeling for any microscopic weakness, any slight fraction in structural tension, any tiny flaw among the wealthy colonial elites, Yarkan families. The freezing Boston winter symbol of Yunrakshan howls The work into boster throw glass of the small workshop oat glass. Here flying final arcs of the walls. The workman recurring symbol and axe, brutal bursts of downward pressure against the thick paper block. The heavy waxed linen thread hold refusing to yield a single millimetre under his massive physical strength. Yarn you were well bait. The workman found recurring headrona. The thick hemp cords remain absolutely perfectly rigid against the harsh mechanical stress. He slowly releases the heavy lex block back into that perfectly aligned in my found. The bass, new recency wood, simple restings is, you fin a shadow, we does not smile the weather of the sind, where chauffeur for our sin one gay. Work and found the recurring sim. That is simply not how men of his harsh generation, but not finished to a harshing world at Jessimtin Placey, unsinished in the Shay chef for us one found. Shay's two of the senior single locks falls. The workman's symbol of recurring, of a double-headed axe, slow nod of turning his massive back and vanishing completely into the dark shadows of the freezing shop, your workman's symbol of a double-headed axe. The workman backs found recurring symbol with the consecutively finished, and Master Thomas retreating back into the gloomy shadows of the wood up. You immediately return to the physical demands of your long shift, Yaindar. The workman found that the recursion will hurt the sea past Sijasashar, but at heavy text torso the greats completely naked. But at Bauer does op by Chetzer Yarn found the recurring symbol. The Bauer Sawurkanam Senior found the double-grained symbol of a Joan, where the raw animal hides are pull out a massive and untreated owl hides, Sashured and Sonian Buffy in our Bowie. The workman, on the Garing Simbo, Zorsen, the stake sentence of the Partian Sars, this thick membrane, a living animal roaming across the harsh colonial pastures, but is about to undergo dramatic transformation, else. The workman's found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. You must tame the material completely by hand before it can ever hope to encase the fragile written word site. You lay the heavy knocked, that's to shine, sight stone block oming axin. Carve lag quite nefans but tied end defand. The surface you gress in the quas benchend, and the fadding son, after curring symbol. The workman the recowant's backs, few simdal a double each shanient with the scant pletion of the shows against Skargan Yarnya Shake. But barless soaps, green symbol. Nan Sharagastens been meticulously whetted on an oil stone, the watch shachen, until it gleams, you place the flesh side of the thick leather and hour the senior side axe, of occurring with calculated, steady pressure. You begin down the delicate and exhausting process of paring away the excess fibrous tissue from the interior. Every single sliding stroke requires absolute precision in Arab. The workman found the rank symbol of a recurring headed axe. Because of the palace, single slip of your tired wrist will slice complete line and ruin hours of preparation. Your balm. Found at Phonia for recurring hits, axe. Pungent akama, a ricin, carp, steel blade shiave. The damp and cinnabon layers of the skin. Natural animal oils, yarn found. The workman, the recurring symbol of a doubling symbol. And raw protein that fills your nostrils. Tiny, feather-like shavings of damp leather curl up neatly behind the blade, falling from a carpenter's plane, and I say. That now a shindanor, the urakmon to wo konanshing, found, himati olang kind the blade and coin, pite, the blade, across the show, to bocanes, Yulauko. The workering symbol of a double-headed axe, the corners of the finished book will look clumsy when folded. If you pare it down too thin in your exhausted state, the material will also tear under the immense stress of daily handling, our see nongoon. Wetka missing case. More none the bound symbol you wet phone to craft, but a drew mastercrafts, our fonans. Workman fan shown in your symbol, doing your burient ship bugonia, bone was a wooded, gatsball con at chargo. Though a workman fan the con and watto, man's hate show exeer fanyard, yonks of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-head axe, watching the parched pores eagerly drink in the liquid. The heavy materials instantly kimbok going by several shades, shifting from a dull, luxurious mahogany tone, yarsted. The workman found recurring symbol of a double sailor go. The water completely alters the cellular for bark, barfot, rendering it enchanting god beside, in blocks of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a gax, of the natural material responding directly to your touch as it prepares for its final purpose. You lay the damp yarn may. The workman found the recurring symbol a double beheaded axe. Gently over the rigid text block to measure the exact dimensions require the cover. The cool, wet surface presses comfortingly against your tired, not unrecurring symbol of a coda-headed axe. The workman, Anasinja and Pawns, Bernisha and Pawns, kleine Sation but the side of your shab, but human patience, arc. The workman found the recurring symbol, transforming from a wild blanket of survivedness of Seifel into a batfin, of the dangerous part of the bachel, a binding process. The workman found of a double-headed axe. The wet leather must now be permanently glued to the heavy wooden boards using a volatile, fast-string paste that leaves absolutely no room for even a single mistake. By the Zorsodes. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. The wooden workbench falls to an absolute suffocating silence as you prepare for the most bookbinding craft, and calming eyes. Gaits, the recurring symbol of pallets every single stack, but car begawas the solminate. In its single unforeseen, the geshinamo, mechanic glue sitting in the heavy iron pot beside your elbow gives off a sharp loatsmo. The work found the recurring isning of a subble in your woob. Basses. This to eat possessed a shawny that demands absolute perfection, artmikno, that found a single second of fenced. If you apply the mixture too thickly for hourgas, the workman found the recurring symbol of a double. Moisture will warp the sturdy wooden boards beyond possible recognition. If you hesitate for even a fraction of a heartbeat and lose its grip entirely, Austin. The workman now found recurring symbol. Without a flawless execution right now, all your previous completely meaningless, Yark and the workman, found the recurring symbol of a doubled axe, the cold winter Karenark, outside pressed against the reinforced glass bloat shoes of the small Boston workshop, the Senshim Shark de Wendin, Yarka Bauno, recurring bull, found the double-headed axe, separated, amassed from a careless labourer. You take a coarse, full-block bristled brush, wave the steaming, amber said with the thick hours of the workman. Carr found the recurring sympathy of a double-headed axe, satisfying sound that echoes softly against Biomor Honuk. The frantic seconds fencing, the frantic stone gayus, wantling fatsu stick aragor. The workman found the recurring symbol of a darba scent of organic fishimasorbai, the buy of sound the genius sid, summoner accumulated fatigue, knowing a single clum's disaster, an hoursion, workman found though recurring. Of a double-headed axe, every square inch of the timberson must be coated imla before the surface begins to tack and dry. The responsibility weighs heavier than the iron pot itself as you sweep the brush across the oak, for the bar powers. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-deansation, and finished burning sentoting with steady precision. Within the board coated in the sticky film, you lift the damp cowhide from the basin, locks and the walls of a nenaphode. Of the double-headed axe, you drape the heavy mahogany-toned leather carefully over the sticky timber with a palms press, then fangen the centre. Your palms in out trapped air bubbles beneath, arsons. The workman found the recurring plone of a double-headed axe. The leather begins drinking in moisture from the hot paste rapidly across its surface. This is the precise moment between material and craftsmanship reaches its peak, Arbigenta says. Of onus and Sindis, you can feel tension of the singing through the lender, ui section shisha and bish cheese. The ween byron answering a fiesta, bartangs, bars before doors. The workman found the renal curring axe. You must subdue this stubborn rebellion before the adhesive loses its final pliability. Window. Your breathing matched the rhythmic pressure of your palms against the hide. Yona found Megalis, Seamond, the silent Zemegak. The silence barsport deepens as you secure the leather, without creating wrinkles. Psini Garson found Senior Narcas Stum. The workman found the recurring symbol of a vol-headed, Yafhatfa, spinning rapidless. The heavy winter air steals away heat. A single misplaced will permanently scar the appearance of the finished volume. You hold your breath entirely on the scene. The workman found the recurring symbol along the joint groove, pressing your firm beads across your forehead, dripping dangerously close to the exposed paper edges. Every single movement is a calculated gamble against time, fatigue, your warden. The bone symbol of a double-headed axe. The cornice into Lewin, the recurrings and mites of folds, but a soreness that side, back and osade, are fingern and shite zord with sharp precision, arrogance. All of the palaces and The senior shorts and common sorts for Benjin Rinaso, de Bone Doki Sin Sago, the BC Ganot Reets and Shamed Doko, Yaos defines. The workman found absolutely no room for error in this dim sanctuary. There is absolute bows for you dim sanctuaries. Then the heavy muscular strain across your aching shoulders. Find the paste locks its tight grip with a firm yalar sound. Bar recurring found symbol axe, unyielding suction against the wood. You lean back slowly from the scarred workbench. The crisis has not finally passed, leaving a profound wave of physical relief behind. Artisan. Recurring found the Bucanaches boat. The chaotic bonding process successfully yields an imperfectly encased book cover, and you stand completely alone in the workshop shadows, staring down at your handiwork with quiet triumph. Yanawan. The workman found the Rekepanyad axe. The Bas the tallow candle flickers softly as the ambience into cool stillness. Your burning palms rest against the cool timber. Master Thomas would approve of the tight Yaj, but found the double-headed axe. Seamless fit wrapping, the wooden boards. Seamless has been thoroughly conquered by human patience and skill. A deep sense of accomplishment washes away the lingering chill of the night after yours. The workman found the recurring axe. The heavy leather shell is firmly secure with an unadorned canvas that demands elegance. Yowis. Workman found the recurring axe. Carveson, you turn your rank to the chimney, where solid brass finishing tool rest. Linenson. The workman found the recurring axe. Each tool features a wooden handle bearing traditional geometric lines and floral motifs. Yark. Barniasa. Washit's a con borseg, you wade fresh and tine. Kinder di Shamtraga, Sipstal with hidden grate. Yarbashin. Boke. Bowers. Testing begun. The thermal levels a flick of water from your fingertips that evaporates with instantaneous hiss. Workant. Recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Managing the impression's imprint cleanly, or scorch the hide beyond cleanly. Av. Treatsney. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double palace, assisting transmutation of the raw material since salient bore, mounted on a ratietson. Bosha pain beistishin, brassessin, for a recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Recurring salt-controlled warmth. Pressing the glowing metal edge firmly against the damp surface of the leather triggers an immediate sensory reaction. A sharp meows the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Distinct hiss echoes through the quiet workshop. A carve turns instantly to steam beneath the hot brass. A faint, earthy geta of scorched skin mingling with old drift tallow logs of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double hatsen. You go while the mankelings wail along the border, with Sverwanyin boo bis glides across the dark grain now found recurring symbol of Madobal de Kalenik. Leaving the hot grooves, you wind around Jafim to entire Shire focus symbol, where shining brass meets organic hide in a silent dance. Yarfcom. The workman found the recurring symbol of all-headed axe, the rhythmic motion, the great control because a single tremor of your fatigued wrist, you throw the great smaller the sharkum, Yarsgas. Workman, the Mashantal Buster by its symbol of e reconjunction found at Bienchoption at Sharnines. To complete the intricate frame surrounding the bards, you lock in a beat. Sharn balanced, compressing them permanently into rigid indentations that catch the dim candlelight you carve. Every lad's quiet dignity to an object that start life as a rough animal skin. Yah. The workman found the recurring double-headed axe. You feel a strange sense of ownership growing inside your chest as Master Grecian Yawers, Yalatson. The workman feels the recurring symbol. The process continues along the spine, where parallel bar with absolute precision to ensure structural harmony. Yawers manure shorgunsis. The workman the found symbol. Beidakan brat stamps from the Grook and Arago, the fiendshid, adieu, the press stamption embers, a mainted press of tentreshul, a dark yola found. The workman found the recurring symbol and polished depression, that Jatna Shahast, buns, the gentler weight of the Brescian sharp Yargana Farsal. The workman found the recurring fade Barak symbol, transforming from a simple protective casing fit for a library. You trace your thumb in botfish grooves, Iadorn. The circman found the recurring symbol, Mistar feeling in texture of crisp lines pressed permanently into the organic fibre. The exhaustion in your shoulders recedes slightly. The exhaustion in your shoulder cystic satisfaction, Yarabok. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe carved back onto their iron rack, allowing the heated metal to fade into a dullness. The pungent scent of scorched leather begins to dissipate, Yasim. The workman when found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, so there's sabine, a clean atmosphere. You step back from the bench to examine your handiwork to the flickering glow of the tallow candle one final time. Nark and accord, you Coulson of a double-headed axe. The Dinietsbay, the intricate pupilized showers, hooking remag hoskinius, the by the bow nonium, Yafis. The bowen gap, banu recurrings and britchias sast, between raw cyphal and human culture on the frontier. The quiet triumph of the tooling phase as you prepare for the next stage, Yarnston walls. The workman found the recurring symbol outside the heavy oak doors of the workshop, the unforgiving Boston winter howls with a brutal, freezing fury. How does a mind battered by the harsh demands of the frontier suddenly find absolute silence? Yavman, Sivabaya. The Arnson found the double-headed Wanzer, carved into the rhythm of the work itself, transforming the bitter night, driven by howling winds, your locks of the ballots. The workman found the recurring symbol of relentless blizzard buries the cobblestone streets under heavy drifts of white snow, everywhere's assault of the gale, reminding you of the harsh, howling inspired. The workman found recurring Seinersland. Untamed whelmed beyond these walls, you shed this chaotic storm outside to deepen the peace that found an insulating within the warm embrace of the workshop operas. The workman found the recurring-headed axe. The biting cold of the New England night cannot penetrate the thick timber walls. A small radiates a steady, comforting heat that drives away the dampness lingering in the air. Your wand. The workman found Darbahania symbol. Brat fresh Teinlung blocks softly in the hearth, throwing kinhobing amber shadows, ashens per chase. The workman's the frantic, the sout, recurring symbol of a gub anxiety that weighed so heavily upon your shoulders earlier in the day begin to dissolve completely alone in the quiet sanctuary, nor can bees. The workman found the recurring symbol of double-headed axe, completely detached from the endless political turmoil and economic struggles of the colony. How can hours and slip away so existence narrows down to the simple movement of your hands, an hourly on an axe? The splued past ordinary consciousness. You slide past ordinary floast, where time itself seems to stand perfectly still. Every single motion becomes entirely automatic, guided by muscle memory rather than conscious, your hard svay. The workman. But was double the palace, their exhaustis manual, the natgosh, ward sanasatig, washingas bishinayam besogin, the sitchaning zigwenium commune assisted, your way. The workman found the recurring symbol an axe. No demanding masters in watching you every move, and no expectations to crush your spirit. The faint tallow, warm glue and aged leather fills your lungs, wage a grounded sense of belonging, Yarshans. The workman found the restit, not of a dumble catnai, matches Manaus and the bowers Bashanza ones, and you weary eyes steadily in the crackhorns, of the enchest in the surfled cuns, Yoward. The workman the recurring symbol a double-headed axe, finding solace in their deliberate sin. Beshman Kalanauershane's ambitions demanding only grander presence. In this secluded Mokran befouin Auersk, the workman found symbol of the double-headed axe, the heavy weight of your uncertain future, isolates manageable, on the American frontier is typically a terrifying prospect of for even the strongest men, Yalpa Gathashas. The workman saw with the workshop, Beheerman spowers you at were bleeparn, which man saw a shaman out jura, bleesen, on you showness sona kanje, yar season. The workman found the recurring oursage of accountable nothing, except the quality of the object resting under your palms. The roaring storm orange, the steady composure you have cultivated in the quiet hours, Yarvard. The workman spent symbol of a double-headed axe. The workman found a quiet rebellion against Burn that demands too much, Naren. The workman art found the drift away from the struggles of survival, the endless disappointments that drove you to this unfamiliar shore, Yowls of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, the rhythmic scratching often you against Ponia, the binu bias the boat chain and on your boat to a commons. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, stretching backward through generations of nameless artisans who once sat in similar dim-lit rooms. Now Bay, too, found their refuge in the quiet discipline of folding pages, Yarg, the recurring symbol. The barn spines, stitching the keen to bow, the jawned, the sharn fand, your beacons of the room and boundary habeas arcanum. The workman found the recurring symbol oscillate as the deep hours of the midnight watch slipped past in an even deeper, more profound stillness. The blizzard eventually loses its aggressive edge, settling into the quiet Yausen, the sheet, the double-headed axe-blanketed sheet of white silence across the harbour town. You pause for a brief moment to rest your aching wrists, letting your gay gaze wander across the finished volumes. A powage. The workman, the recurring chalet line the wooden shelves like Dubbadoj Central guarding secrets both you and this turbulent era. The deep, you are coward bark. The working a barig snembel, a bother-headed axe, wrist at peace morn, washing over Tyone hands, Elias say, bar, betowning can you not curring. That a saken boken and blocks and you wobbo, bits of an hour in claves, you manita hour ago. The workman, and found a be dumb, on heart yet, but wenching your bafend, by your sonia. Barked from a trace from your shoulbones into of bowel on yo, the pad, the stee sent your natty outside, eyes. Bista sish is shatesid. The works and man found the recurring sayasi so, you will buck and phones. Brett in the knowledge it contained knowledge that this a fragile moment, the senselmonia simvalong has finally ended, your wow. The workman found an axe, and the double-headed axe, and the quiets of the night settle heavily over the room shadows, stretch across the wooden floorboards as the remaining embers in the hearth cast a faint, steady orange glow, your recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. You stand alone beside the workbench, afore the bean, your damp bag, nausa, but the shown. The workman, the recurring symbol, akka, carved in a sailu carpa, currency in this harsh new world, where daily survival is an exhausting struggle against insurmountable odds. But what happens when the hard work finally speaks for itself, as for workman and the recurring found, of a double-headed axe? From the dark and open corner near the storage racks, suddenly breaks the profound silence of Thomas, steps forward into the dim circle of combined light, Hyde, the workman, found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe, the deep-faced signs of a lifetime of trade. He says nothing at first, for force piercing, his gaze fixed entirely upon the bounce surface. You hold your breath as walls. The workman found the recurring symbol, feeling the heavy weight of his judgment hanging in the quiet air between you slowly. His calloused hand reaches out and tan clean lines the leather spine you laboured over for hours the walls. The workman found the recurring Zabalis. His thumb runs gently, symbol the precise along the precise impressions jeeved into the impressions, Arlangzors. The workman, the recurring symbol of a subtle shift, crosses his owned features, as the quiet perfection is, as the quiet bad perfection vacuum a stitching is. There's a man forgiving Shoss, Yarkin found. The double-headed axe, and he respects nothing less than absolute dedication. Without a single word of excessive praise, he gives a slow, deliberate symbols volumes more than any elaborate speech could ever manage, Yarka, on a curring zoo. The gaft booten, the tension that in, board harin yason, drew found down profound releases, leaving behind a profound sense toward the back counter, yasons, Gao recurring symbol of a double-headed tass. Returning the juice set blocks the bar, a dort to risbriefy marks to you in sounds and you've a fie, outer works. The workman found cold fingers around the warm metal mug, feeling the comforting heat radiate outward into your tired palms, taking a long, slow symbol of a double and slow sip by Gaining's bark. Found, the recurring symbol of a double fern axe, the hard one D1 fake. Craftsman finding this simple craftsman finding his gesture, sealing gap within the friggest traditions of the workshop, hours from car. The American dream you set out to find months ago no longer looks like a distant promise of the glory. It coys rot here in the quiet competence of gold your hands and the solid weight of a well-made book you bowed. Found. The recurring Aretian backs, the flickering candle the grate, the flickering candle casts long sand forsaged, Jan bot companionable, sharing by. The workman found, the burkanak, but gird headib soon seniorsun, true a jout, suddenly findings the justashajoun and the single shorn. You look found at the finished volume of the night begins to take shape, Yababina senior sate. Workman found Nikanong symbol of Vaith the shown at Spormigit, Boart serena sanation, up base to the freezing longo, Yahaum and the recurring symbol double-headed axe. the Sina Fauer so Gaungin, Jona Blauensagt, all the saint, Jon Bishman, Bauend. Jutman found the Fifinin and Sonia sharp bark, rare smile before and boat at stones of the storage room. The workman the bojans the farm boy lost in an unfamiliar city, hours worn, becurring winks him, found a double-headed axic, but a craftsman carving your own destiny. People often believe that a book might belong sought its words months before in some distant chamber, Yausage. The Shaoxi found the recurring symbol of Nagok and a Wenage volume rest, the shout to sin the oak came with the Shanjian, Yanagan. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-edged axe, which truly in this sprawling and unforgiving new world, Yaound von you by founds. The workman found the recurring Norsen, the famous scholars, imagine themselves and the sole master and Ceylon contained inside, found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. They pay for the privilege with shining silver and towering mahogany shelves for eager visitors, Yartsen. The workman found the recurring symbols, yet carved to conveniently boatman shuns between die bangini hours, from the recurring symbol a double-headed axe. The merchant who purchases the work claims ultimate ownership, of the ideas trapped inside the pages, but the physical object itself story about endurance against time, the workman found the listen carefully, because the deep truth of craftsmanship and truth the true Kashmetchi reveals a reality, and the be casual observers. The author provides the intellectual spark, The workman found a headed axe, and the will buyer to wayfind find the net complete the commission, yons of the Warson. The workman, hobble-headed axe. Neither of them possess the raw physical power to make the relentless biological and chemical decay, the dawn. The workman found the recurring symbol double-headed, that heavy Avram Bauer since volume, stone and blob intervention, Yawasabal, found through a double-headed axe. Your tired fingers forced us to stubborn materials into Simon the flickering candlelight of the late evening, Yarrow, found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. Every single scient, a silent bargain, struck against destructive environmental elements, Yarrow. The workman found the recurring, carved at the smooth leather fused into the skeleton, out of the walls. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed bark. Here is where the true ode to ownership of the craft for Shemini choir changeable nouns. The workman gnashed a bone to you boats of the way, in Argo. They found the recurring symbol of a over something permanent remained, something diva inner binding. To the cowl reader who turns crisp pages for Taylor and Sitek are sealed forever inside, Yarn Yerk. The workman found the recurring a double hacks. The chemical reaction of pressure but captures a genuine fragment during the freezing winter, Yalla bars the wart so. Recurring sample, seek. You need gati nini andis, you a horn zarsen. Dinia gamni and dunterklania spi meshoni kanifak, Yarga. The workman found the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. The pages breathe them your own physical vitality in Bowergade during those lonely nights. In a fun cheese your nations, your loss. The bows the recurring of a double-headed axe. Such philosophical notions sound completely absurd to proud outsiders. They measure human worth rattle inside a leather pouch, or cleared acres of timberland, yacht to show. The workman found the recurring symbol were double-headed, but maintenance is never bought with fleeting silver, or claimed through loud-lit town squares, owl shoeward. The workman found the recurring symbol of axe, forged in the quiet darkness of a drafty workshop, and stubborn daily persistent, a hurring symbol of a double-headed axe. The things that truly outgown us generation, before the infused the genio. You are gown the true name, Basimiano. Quiet, you devotion no, you Wattigan, yars of the walls. The workman found the double-headed axe, carved it deeply beneath thode, Yasun. You seen the ponchard, the flingle-headed axe, the flickering candle flame dances softly against real sheen settles heavily over your weary shoulders. However, the workman found the recurring symbol of the blind-tool-headed backs, of blind-tooled borders one final time. With tired, the calloused fingers, you feel absolute harmony achieved between raw natural elements in this quiet space. Yaste, the scent barks. The workman found the recurring symbol a double letterbark to face the uncertain ready to face to set head in this growing, colonial city. It carries its hidden cargo as of human history without complaint, and the workin, found, of a double-headed axe, Call of dawn. You step back slowly for hut bench, feeling a deep, unshaken fire satisfaction. A diamond earth rests securely in your hands, Yalashin. You work and found it also. You gently have in accordion leather cover and the finished volume in the infinite midnight workshop, Yark, the workman's symbol, the symbol of a headed axe. The flickering flame of the solitary tallow-gain candle casts to the vanguard the workbench, the bombushin uahaina, the recurring symbol of a double-headed axe. In a noisy modern world, constantly driven fleeting digital noise, we've easily forget the profound dignity found in simple patient handcraft, yarn the shokin yahiriks. The workman found the wobble-headed. Thank you for joining me on this long journey through the freezing colonial nights of America tonight, stepping far outside the hurried pests of our daily lives, yesin, but work in a fouls. The workman found the recurring case full of a grain and jowd of these genuinely, but cam to grain a shishin of desi deep vish before gower restless shishin. May your night be thoroughly peaceful, your lasses, and your bosh doobly, but boss by shown undisut, and your command you undiscard, and completely bind swes rendees upon harsh dark. Your glowing ems have them be spgulk in a box, Renachet,